South Africans want water, electricity, sanitation, and refuse removal. Our people want protection against crime and gangsters. People want local government to deliver services that they need and support the local businesses that provide jobs and livelihoods. This is what South Africans want. We are the African National Congress, and we've been serving the people of this country for the past 27 years. Vote ANC, Amandla! Amandla!
Good evening and welcome to ANC News. My name is Penny Libiani. The Siyanqoba rally in Thokoza Park, Soweto has just ended, where President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed voters in the last stretch of election campaigning. With me tonight is Tembin Karim, Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. She is also the former mayor of the city of Polokwane and a former president of the South African Local Government Association, SALGA. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Pemi, and good evening to our viewers.
Great stuff. You have considerable experience in local government communities. Citizens in this, local government elections are calling for service delivery, accountability, and are keen on being in full contact with their councillors. Do you think when it comes to building better communities, can the ANC deliver to the citizens?
Yes, we can deliver. I think our experience does point to a fact that you need a partnership between communities and councillors, between communities and council as a body that regulates on the needs of the communities. Because this is the body made up of councillors which receive the equitable share which comes from National Treasury to budget for the needs and prioritize for communities. So the participation, the involvement of the community through the community structures, what councillors, what committees, that is why as a sphere we have an integrated development plan which forces us as local government sphere to go and talk to the people, prioritize their need. So what the ANC is saying in this instance is all our councillors are mandated to have an interaction with the community on a monthly basis, and they'll be assessed on a quarterly basis on how are they bringing back feedback. Remember, as a community, when you say my needs are a hall, are a crèche, are a road, you do not receive the entire amount from National Treasury as a budget. So a community member needs to be able to be informed. This is how much we have received and this is how much it will cover. It has now come into our bank account. This is how much we have dispersed to which company and what is it going to do, and let the people receive the contractor and be eyes and ears of government as that development is happening in their neighborhood where they are staying. So I do believe that the introductory ways and new ways of how we recruit councillors, of how we have put the performance measurement systems and the report back cards for councillors, we got it right. We'll be able to build these communities.
On the campaign trail, I mean, what have you heard from people? What have they told you as you've been going around the country campaigning?
Penny, our people have been frank. Our people have been honest. One, about their frustration. Two, about their desire to see change. And this frustration in the main is linked to corruption, is linked to money not being spent by municipalities and taken back to the fiscus. The little that we receive, most municipalities are unable to spend it for various reasons. And I think that in the main has been the major complaint. Because you don't spend the money, because you don't take care of every rand and cent that you get, it means you're not building roads properly. So obviously they will complain about potholes. Obviously they will not have proper supply and sustainable supply of water. They will complain about that. Electricity in Soweto, for example, has been a major problem. And in many small urban cities in rural areas, expansion in terms of the capacity of what municipalities have, yes, they've been able to roll out, but there's still that 7% of South Africans who are staying in the dark every day. And what they said to us, we want to be like others. There's still a need for housing. So in the main, those were the 5 key issues that our communities raised, and we are geared towards resolving them and ensure that we deliver what our communities desire.
So there's also been, in terms of like a selection for the candidates, a lot of young people who are very qualified, who want to be involved as councillors. So they're a new generation of leaders. Do you think these young people will be able to turn governors around as representatives?
Well, Pemi, I took a beating last year, November or so. As president of SALGA then, we undertook a study because it was becoming difficult. One of SALGA's responsibilities to equip councillors, train them, additional information to ensure that there is institutional resilience. And there's a body which we normally call SCOPA in our normal language. In council, it's called MPEC. It's a Municipal Public Accounts Committee. And it's made up of about 10 or so councillors, depending on the size of the municipality. And we have been trying to capacitate those committees. Now we have got 257 municipalities by 10, you know, and we will keep on going back and going back and going back. And the role of oversight, remember, it's big. So when you say to council, the city of Johannesburg, for example, has a budget of 73 billion. Now here are these 10 people or 20 or so are members of council, and they are supposed to perform oversight of how we have spent this money even before the Auditor General comes. You need to be capacitated. You need to understand quite a lot of what is happening in the municipality, in council, the law, the Municipal Finance Act, and every regulation piece that makes up council. And we realize that we are not arriving. And we then decide, look, you can be able to train a person who fairly has a basic understanding of what this council, let's do an assessment of everybody else. And it showed us that over 62% were not properly qualified to understand the task. And we came out as SALGA and we said to all the political parties, we need you to partner with us, because we receive these councillors as SALGA, as COCTA, from political parties. Field people who are qualified, and why we have to do that. So we went to the NEC of the African National Congress to present. As we did, invited other parties, of course some didn't come. But we presented to those that arrived. We showed them the statistics of what we have, of what makeup comes from them. And that's where we came up with a plan from the African National Congress to say, look, we have to respond positively into this challenge, because that's what even the AG identifies as a gap which leads to non-accountability, to fruitless, wasteless, irregular expenditure, which are the key ethos of what the Municipal Finance Management Act are about. So I do believe now, I mean, a ward councillor where I'm staying has a doctor in law, he has a LLM degree. He's a property financier in his own right. So he has got a BCom in law. He went all the way up to a doctoral level. Those are the qualities that you want. Of course, being a community leader needs activism in it, but possibly a balance. If you compare even with other countries, there is a balance of about 80-20. People need to be able to read the books. There's an income statement. There's an expenditure after you spend something. You can't spend what you don't have. Such basics, which you need to be able to have to understand how to run meaningfully a council. And I think we got it right this time. If you recall the announcement and the pledge which was made by our councillors, overall, what the 10,000 ANC candidates were fielding were above 68% of skills that are beyond matric, beyond a diploma, and some even above that.
Okay, so let's talk about when you juxtapose that with the presentation that was done with the local government barometer, which was launched, and you were speaking of that earlier in the week. So will this monitoring instrument ensure that there is better financial management and accountability?
Of course. We're coming down. I've been a mayor for 7 years. What a daunting task. We signed performance agreement with the African National Congress as their mayors. This time around, we've gone out differently to publicize, one, the barometer, two, but also to get mayors not only to sign the performance agreement with the party, but also with government. So already, the arm of government has prepared memo together with National Treasury of what are the requirements of council in their first sitting that they have note they have to do and they have to follow. And one of those is that the MEC of cooperative governance in every province will sign performance agreement with his or her 27 or 22, whatever mayors are within that province, so that they could also be assessed, and the Auditor General will also be able to come at the loop at the end of it. The good thing about the ANC barometer is that it won't wait for the Auditor General like the public does. It forces you to go on a month-to-month to report. It assesses you through its PEC and NEC structures to ensure that you deliver as a mayor on a quarter-to-quarter basis to take the council forward. So I do believe that, one, people knowing that a mayor has signed an agreement, they can actually be saying, where is that agreement? Can we see? So you already, contrary to the one that I've signed with the DSG and Comrade Gwede, then when I became a mayor, it is now going to be known that there is a barometer which is supposed to measure the performance. And attached to it is a satisfaction survey of those particular areas that the ANC has to run. So as a resident, you could say, no, Nkadimeng is not serving me very well. Yes, at least Pemi is trying. She can improve here and there. Contrary to the silence, and you get a feedback from communities which says, Salere Mokhet is the last time we've... That was the last time
what happens in that instance? What happens when, you know, Penny is not performing? You know, does she get sacked?
Well, yes, there is a code of conduct. The code of conduct in most instances has not been followed by council because nobody has been reviewing to the latter all councillors. It will only be a mayor, which has always been a problem. If a council is not moving or things are not happening, we remove Pemi the head. And you get recalled, you get moved to another area, you resign voluntarily sometimes. But we're not dealing with 1 to 200 councillors, which makes up a city of Johannesburg council from the African National Congress. You call one person to accountability and the rest escape accountability. Whilst the barometer this time around says yes, deal one with the first layer, speaker, chief whip and the mayor, the second layer, members of the mayoral committee, the third mayor, every councillor who are in a ward to report on a monthly basis. Our PR councillors must also be held accountable, attending their portfolios, attendance registers, and attendance of council meetings to show that they are able to deliver and earn the salary that they will be getting on a monthly basis.
So let's talk about traditional authorities and traditional communities, you know, when it comes to local government elections. At times they seem to have different specific needs. How has that been taken care of, you know, in the manifesto and in these local government elections?
Well, we have harmonized, the African National Congress has harmonized its relationship over the years with traditional leaders. But it just not only comes from a harmonization point of view. It also comes from the relationship that, one, we create between our councillors and the traditional leaders in the area where they are operating. In fact, we have a system that is so entrenched even in government that as a deputy minister, in whatever area that I'm going, I need to go and greet first the traditional leader, announce my presence. That's how we have been taught. And you may not see it in other parties, but in the African National Congress, even when you are in a position or even higher, ministers, the president does the same thing. We interact with them. We plan with them. They are part. That is coupled with the legislation, which has been put forth, delivered by the African National Congress, for example, Splumo, we now assist in the development of traditional areas, because that is about spatial planning, Urban Rural Development Management Act, that has been enacted in 2013 to ensure that as government we assist. I'm sure you might have heard now, for example, the president launched with Ubabunkuna, the Masingita own, the first partnership between government, a private business, and Nkuzana Traditional Authority to create what me and you knows as estates that are happening here in the area where we are, but are not necessarily in rural areas. And that is the type of support that we have, one we receive from traditional, besides officiating them. I mean, the department that I'm working on works also specifically want to create offices for them, get them resources to work, to an extent of even hiring staff in their offices to ensure. And these are some of the legislations that we have enacted to be able to showcase that there is this partnership that we need to have, which extend to communities. I've actually find it as a person in Polokwane, for example, it's 30% urban and 70% rural.
Yeah.
You know, I found it that projects that I implement in the rural area, the traditional leaders are so helpful. Le Mantuna, they are so helpful in making sure that, one, when you go through them, you bring a contractor and say, she's supposed to do this road from here to there. It's supposed to take 4 months. They are the first one to call you on month 5. Mayor, can you come down and check? You said it's ending in September. Why it's October now? And we don't see like it's getting closer to ending. So the relationship is very critical, that they also, when there are fights, you are able to go to Mshate and say, hey, they are fighting over employment, they are fighting over the contract, and they calm down the situation and the project happen. So I think it's one of the critical arms of ensuring that we govern together and respect all the stakeholders and leaders of society as the African National Congress in building these better communities that we are talking about.
Let's talk about the successes of this district development model and how it can be strengthened that both citizens and communities are beneficiaries.
Okay. The district development model talks about one plan, one budget, one development. Meaning, there is no space that is called national. There's no space that's called province. Because the municipal system of South Africa is wall to wall, which means a police station is located in a particular ward of a particular municipality. Now, what the president says, structure and plan together. Through this integrated development planning that is run by a municipality somewhere, we will cluster all these municipalities under their districts. In the country, there are 44 districts, and then there are 8 metros. That gives us a total of 52 local economic development hubs of the country, which will ensure that, one, we develop the economic plan of that area. The economic plan, remember, is embedded on, there must be good roads so business could invest. There must be energy so that business could be able to come to the place. There must be roads so that even you as a commuter and a resident in that particular area can be able to move from one area to the other. So it forces you, one, to ensure that it streamlines your development. You are able to say, in this area, for me to be able to employ and reduce the unemployment rate in this district, what are my key favorable points? Oh, we're good in tourism. Therefore, what does it need? FET or TVET as it is called today. You see how old I am. TVET as it is called today, Department of Education, can you please make sure that there is a school of tourism so that our child can come out here. Here are lodges everywhere else. They could also partner. So it will not only be an isolated plan of a municipality, but Department of Education. Then you will say to the police, in case there are problems with crimes or you need rangers, we need policing of special type here, which can take care of animals and whatever. So that planning needs to come down together. So I need to be able to say to you through the district development model, as a resident here, with SASA and everything else that has been pinned down to be coming to this area, or this district. Government in a year will be spending so much billions. So this spending becomes alive. You get to feel it, you get to touch it. I mean, we have spoken mostly about service delivery issues which are raised by people out of dissatisfaction, but me and you know they also raise the issue of unemployment on a day-to-day basis. So it is also to respond to that. So plans have been created. We call them district plans. Currently, we're sitting at 35 finalized plans out of those 52. 14 almost there at about 3 or 4 drafts, polishing. We're only left with 3 municipalities, 2 in KZN and 1 in the Western Cape, who have not yet moved too much closer to the 52 being completed into this development plan. So they start by identifying from Stats SA how many children are here. Are they all eligible to receive SASSA? Are they receiving it? And it comes down up into the road that needs to be traveled, and it needs to get up and create employment for you. Are you employed now or unemployed? And therefore, what should be the plan to source out to make sure that this place is developmental?
So how does the integrated urban development framework then work, and how does it achieve the goals of economic development and job creation?
Right, those are linked. The plans of the district development models are contained at the district level, which usually has a minimum of 3 local municipalities to a maximum of 5, depending on the vastness and the size of that particular district in the particular area. I mean, for example, in Northern Cape, there could be very few people, but they're very scattered all over. So you try to cluster things into manageable proportions. KZN is also scattered. Gauteng, it's small, but 2 dense. You know, the biggest population actually in all of the provinces, 5 million plus people are residing here. And then you have got 2 districts. And then you have got 3 metros, Joburg, Ekurhuleni, and so all of them makes the 5 of the clusters of the district level. Now, IDPs, that is integrated development plans, as you ask, each and every municipality do it with their communities on a day-to-day. Now, the district plan is a master plan, if we were to call it. On a year-to-year basis, as a municipality, we do manageable chunks. If you are a municipality, you possibly have 200 gravel roads. You're not going to be able to do them in 1 year. So what this IDP says, okay, here is my road network. This road takes us to the graveyard. We all need to go and bury our loved ones. It's important. And it connects to a school on the east. It connects to a bus station on the west, which means we need to start there. So it does that on a year-to-year basis, breaking this master development plan, which is at the DDM level, and making it into manageable chunks for 5 years. Okay. Because remember, you receive 5 budgets, that makes a term. For example, every June, July, a municipality starts its financial year, it receives its first budget. So if out of the 200 it is able to do 8 roads, that community must know this year we're doing 8 roads. And these are the roads, and they must participate in the selection of that roads. That's what the law says. That's what the INC has adopted. You don't sit in your office as a man and say, I think pay me works there. You know, you need to say, we think your taxis drive here as we see them and whatever. Do you think these roads are important? So harmonization, buy-in of the needs, because young people are going to want a stadium, old woman is going to want water and electricity and what. So you need to harmonize your budget. Talk to these people and then
on that
deliver the budget.
People note, I want us to talk about that. It's 2 days before we go to the local government elections, and a lot of young people are saying we want jobs, we want opportunities, and we feel that we have not been taken care of. Your message to those young people this coming Monday?
In fact, Pemi, I was going through the Stats SA report, which has been doing our final assessment. Of course, it was delayed in terms of being released. It should have been released, I think, in June 2019. It then got to be extended to be released this year at the beginning of the year because of the effects of COVID. And it indicated that out of registered and young people who are active participants of democracy, that is voting and whatever, were hovering at between 19 to 21%, which is a very low number. One, which means we needed to go out in big drives to encourage our young people, to talk to them, but also to create and take advantages, rather assist them to take advantages of the alternatives of what employment to do. Generally, the era of our young people now is more technological, it's more independent, it's more focus-driven in terms of not a classroom teacher and employment type of a person. They start from with their creatives, from an ICT, from a technological level, from a music, from an artist point of view. They need to be assisted with such to be able to develop themselves and generate what they are hungry about. But a nation that can't take care of its children and its young people, develop them, it's doomed. Okay. Because it means the power of whatever you have done today, you have got nowhere else to hand it over. So we need, it's actually our responsibility to highlight that there are dispensations in the economy which are favorable, which are not favorable. We may be going through a path of the unfavorable economic conditions. How are they supposed to survive? Coping mechanisms while we are working hard to unlock the economy so that they are able to get into and participate. But that should not stop their participation in democracy. Because the children of June 16 wouldn't have worked. They were not employed. They were not having even aspects of success at that particular. They were taught in languages that they do not want. Their parents were not taken care of. The system was very cruel. Everything was not so good. Yet they looked beyond and say, we want to change the situation. Maybe what is key for us is to open space, interact with them, understand them better, and unlock the way the situation will be. Because I do believe the elders then were able to say, this is what the children believe needs to be done, and this is what they've adopted. That's how the Youth League was formed to assist. That's how Mkhonto Wesizwe was started, Baba Mandela, young as they were, to ensure that they liberate me and you. And I think the youth of today, economically, can also liberate the world, not only South Africa.
Thank you so much for coming through and chatting to us tonight. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much.
There you have it. Our guest for tonight, Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Tembin Karim. From me, Penny Lebeani, we will be back again, of course, very soon, before we go to the elections on Monday. I hope you have a great Friday evening. Until next time, it's a good evening.
South Africans want water, electricity, sanitation, and refuse removal. Our people want protection against crime and gangsters. People want local government to deliver services that they need and support the local businesses that provide jobs and livelihoods. This is what South Africans want. We are the African National Congress, and we've been serving the people of this country for the past 27 years. Vote ANC, Amandla! Amandla!